Hey, welcome everybody. It's Cabin Fever Jiu-Jitsu class for our kids class. So Coach Alex and I came up here today and we wanted to do a little video so that it's going to be something that parents can do with their kids that doesn't require very much space and will reinforce some of the skills that they use in the class. So I think first we want to start off with just a couple of positional drills, warm-up drills. They're actually quite fun to do together, and you can continue doing these for a long time, on a regular basis to help build upon the skills that they're doing in class. So the first warm-up we do, we call it Bulldozer, which is kind of a strange name, but it's basically allowing the person on top. Alex is going to play the role of the child and I'll be the grown-up. So he's going to post this leg up, giving me some space. So you might find like it's hard if you're a lot larger than your child for them to let their knees rest on the floor, like if you have a big stomach and stuff. So I'll post this leg up and this hand's going to be on the floor. And the idea is that he's giving me space to move this way, so that if his knee was down on the ground right here and it got stuck, he could kind of start to get toppled over, right? So the idea is he's giving me space to turn, and it doesn't take a lot of room. I'm just going to turn like one time, and he's just going to open his leg up and kind of let me roll to this position. Then we're going to trade leg positions. He's going to post his leg down, his hands on the mat for balance, and then he's going to open his leg up, and I'm going to roll underneath the leg. Okay? So let's just do that back and forth a couple times. So come back to the mount position. So start off with letting your child kind of lead the drill by posting the leg, and that's going to be my cue to roll in that direction. He's going to use this hand for base, okay? And be careful as you're scooting not to let this knee touch the mat. He's going to keep this knee up the whole time. All right, he's kind of forcing me into the roll as well. Then slow down, give him a chance to turn, and then same thing other side. All right? Once it's comfortable, let's start to challenge a little bit. So you're going to lead the drill. So the person on bottom is just going to start to roll whichever way they want, and the top person is going to have to respond with the correct position. So if I go this way, he's going to need to post like so. All right, and then just try to trick him. Try to see if you can shake him off. If you knock him off, it's going to be fine. All right. Phase two, we're not going to just roll all the time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop when I get to the position here on my stomach. All right, and from here I'm going to try to get up and build a base on my knees. So at this point, I want the person on top to put their knees on the mat and base with their hands on the floor, nice and wide, okay? And you're just using your feet to be like little antennas. They're looking for this space that's gonna happen when I pop up to my elbows and my knees. So right here, the feet hook in, all right? So this is what we call hooks, just like that, all right? So once we've established that hook position, let's look at that one more time. So I go from my stomach perfectly flat. As I start to build the base, the hooks will come in around the hips. And there's several hand positions that we can use. The first one I want you guys to try to do is I want the grown-up to try to make their back slope with their head down lower than their hips to make the person try to slide forward. So don't do any type of a grip here. So just kind of knock them forward, okay? Now obviously we don't want that to happen. So what your child is going to do here is once the hooks are established and you feel the person trying to shake you forward, both hands are going to go under the armpits. And this creates like a stopper. So it's very hard for me to shake, okay? And once they stop that, you can try to wiggle each direction here. And it should be kind of sticky, okay? All right, so the second thing that we can do is I can try to turn and roll. So when I get into my turning and rolling for safety, I want to make sure once he's hooked in, all right, and he's controlling my back. If I have a small child on my back, I don't want to do this. I don't want to put my back on the floor and squash the kid, right? When I do my roll, go ahead and go with your arm position. I'm going to make sure that I keep my back off of the mat. So I use my hands posted, and I just kind of sit through. Notice how my back's not touching the floor. And as I roll to the other side here, see, he didn't get squished. Keep in position. Now once you can do this, all right, I'm going to try to turn to my knees again here. Now when I turn to my knees, a lot of people are going to get shaken off because they're not using good leg pressure. This top leg here is so important, okay? If that top leg is loose, even though he's squeezing hard here, watch, I'm going to turn right inside of his legs. And he gets kind of thrown off here. If we come back, the whole key is as I turn to my knees, he's gonna really squeeze strong. And if need be, he can use this hand to help push himself over. It's okay to hold on here, but if you need the extra lift, go ahead and release this bottom side hand. So you're using that arm and this leg to kind of return. And from here, you have a nice flat out position here. So I would start off super slow and combine these two little exercises, okay? So we're mount, okay? He gives me the space to turn, okay? I pop up, hooks in, hands behind the arms. I'm making a slope. Don't do this very violently, because if they screw it up, I don't want their head to bang on the hard floor. He stopped my shake. As I go to roll, I do not let my back touch the floor. I start my roll here, okay? Boom, boom. When I decide to go to my knees, this top leg squeezes really strong, and if needed, use the opposite hand to help elevate so that you stay in position the whole time. Okay? So that's the bulldozer drill with a little back control. All right, try that one out. Okay, welcome back. So now we're gonna do another drill that you can train with your child. And this is the concept of anchoring. It's a good drill for a smaller person to stay on top of a larger person and take away the reach advantage that they have. Okay, so here's how it looks. We'll try to explain it. The parent is going to be in the bottom position. Child is going to be on top. Doesn't really matter how your child is, like positioned on top of you across the side. If you're much larger and taller, it should be a pretty easy job for you to press their weight off. So even if he's chest to chest with me here, if I just put my hands in, just like I'm doing a lift, like on a bench press, I'm just gonna extend my arms straight up. All right, this isn't his technique. I'm just showing you like how light the person's gonna feel and how easy it is. So if you're a big person, you can easily throw somebody off like this. So what he's gonna do is he's gonna adjust his body to take away my reach advantage to where I can't extend my arms to push like I normally would. So think about it like a ship floating around in the water, okay? If a ship doesn't set the anchor, it's just going to drift around. So when his hands are just grabbing the floor like this, he's just kind of like that ship floating around in the water with no anchor. But when he starts to hug my neck and go underneath this arm here, now it starts to really reduce my ability to push my arms. He's kind of like a ship anchored, not going to float off right now, okay? The next thing he's going to do is his far side leg is going to extend straight out, and his leg here is going to post up. He kind of wants it at about a 45-degree angle. The bottom of his foot will be flat on the floor. The idea is he's actually not just placing his foot on the ground, he's driving and creating pressure from that leg, almost like he's stomping the floor. And that makes him really heavy on my stomach and on my chest, depending how high he is here. This arm here, you can squeeze really close, or you can be even a little further away as long as you have some type of a grip here. This is actually the anchor. And this other hand, you're gonna be somewhere between my elbow and my shoulder with this far side arm. And you wanna stay real sticky there. You don't want this person in the bottom position to be able to like weave their arm underneath this position. That's gonna create some problems. So it wants to be real sticky here. This is gonna stop me from bumping them across that way. So now going back to that same drill, try to put your hands on their chest and push. You're gonna find like it's very, very difficult, okay? If you are able to push, generally it's because they're not creating enough of a grip with this anchoring arm, okay? If you can create space between their chest and your chest, they need to work on that anchoring skill a little bit, okay? I would flail around here a little bit, but it's just a complete waste of my time. I can feel right away that I just literally can't separate his chest from my chest. So this allows a smaller person and a shorter person to stay connected to a much larger person. The other thing, other than bench pressing, if you stay back in that same position, is try to roll him across your body this way. This is where this hand becomes valuable. He can post his hand on the ground to kind of stop that from happening. Okay, so a combination of push movements with your arms here, and if you want to just kind of twist and squirm, that's fine too. It's good to just keep their balance, okay? Now the same concept we do from the mount position. So that was side control. Here we have mount. A lot of times the kids will have their feet hooked in behind. This is what we teach in class. This is proper, what he's doing with his feet. Let's turn real quick. Feet are hooked in here behind the legs. So he can be doing this. But even if he does this technique properly, if I'm taller than him, if he's spread out with his arms, what we call airplane base, you can put your hands on them. if I'm taller than him, if my arms are much longer than him, I'm still gonna be able to kind of push him off of me enough so that I can kind of get up on an elbow and then start to create a strong base and eventually just push him over. Okay, even though he's basing strong with his arms. So using that same idea we just did from side control, if I'm trying to push this way, what he wants to do is hug my neck, okay? And then keep his arm stretched on that side, but because he's hugging my neck, I can't use the reach advantage. I get kind of stuck here and I'm not able to push. If I am able to push, it's because he's not grabbing strong enough. It doesn't take a lot of strength, but you do need to make sure that you're connecting to the person, right? So if you're just easily throwing them off, see that space? That's no good. We need to kind of own this position. The problem here is you're a little bit off balance this way. So if I decide to switch directions, he's going to also need to change his grip. Like so, okay? If he didn't do that, I could kind of force him off, right? So make sure that we're not married just to one side, but we can change positions as needed. If you get into a position where both hands are floating and they're not able to touch the floor, then we swim. One arm to the inside and you reclaim that anchor position right away, okay? So there we have the concept of anchoring, both from the side control and the mount position. Doesn't require a lot of room and it's a lot of fun. Once your child gets good with it, challenge them and really try to throw them off. I think you'll be surprised at how strong they can be and how heavy they can feel with just this little trick.